Hi, my name is Jeremy Woodward, and this talk is called Fixing Richard, Florida, or Who You Callin' Creative. It is in pecha format and was first presented at Pecha Providence number 37 on April 25th, 2012. This is Richard, Florida. He wrote a series of books that argue that people like architects, biotech workers, and urban bohemians form a new social class called the creative class that is vital to our economy, and that to be successful, cities should strive to offer the amenities and conditions these people require. First, I'm going to explain why these two words are horrible, and second, I'll explain that the way they're used to talk about hip artsy types making our cities more livable is mostly wrong. I'll start with the word creative. I hate being called creative. If you're anything like me, and I suspect many of you listening are, you have come up against this word all your life. And usually it goes like this. You've completed some piece of work, you blew your brains out getting it done, it's on display, and some person is looking at it, and they turn to you and they say this: "You're so creative." This phrase performs the neat trick of expressing envy and disdain at the same time. Envy because it confers on you some mysterious quality that enables you to produce original work. Disdain because it explains away the effort involved in making something by transforming the creative process into an adjective describing a state of being, like brunette. Creative is a sentimental term that romanticizes the creation of original work and removes it from the category of things that are work. If you're like me, and I'm sure many of you are, you have fought against the notion that creative work is just playtime or too much fun to count as a real job. So, if we were going to go down to City Hall and talk about the desirability of providing incentives for a group of people, why would we use this word? Why don't we describe ourselves according to what we provide for others, rather than according to our supposed innate specialness? All right, the second word is class. As Americans, we don't like the notion of class. Class belongs in older aristocratic countries. We left that all behind, right? In America, pretty much everybody claims to be middle class. It gives certain people the fits if you suggest that the wealthy and powerful are anything but middle class. How do I know this? It's the way we talk about it. So, of course, we have the middle class. And who's under that? Is it a lower class? No, we don't say that. It's gauche. We have the poor, depicted here on the left, who are just the middle class deprived of money. And who do we have above the middle class and upper class? No, we have the rich, who are just the middle class with money added. Now, here's all the people identified as creative class in Florida's book. We all know about the white ones on top. They always get top billing. I want to concentrate on the red ones: business administration, financial services, the healthcare system, the legal system, and related fields. That's a big group. From where I stand, this is just everybody with an advanced degree. And while the popular conception of this term is that the creative class creates a hip and trendy city, the reality is the vast majority of the people in this class, as defined by Florida, especially the ones with the money and power, business, finance, law, healthcare, are consumers and beneficiaries of hipness and trendiness. So the common characteristic of Florida's creative class simply is this: they don't like to be bossed around and told what to do. Describes almost every human I have ever met. To become a member of the creative class, you make not being bossed around and told what to do a condition for your participation in the workforce. If you can, you make a lot of money as a biotech entrepreneur. If you can't manage that, you go to work for that guy in flip-flops for 80 hours a week and then you quit. And if that's not attractive to you, you can earn very little money and live as a bohemian, and still you stay in the creative class. Other than that, you fall into one of the other classes. Here are the four social classes as proposed by Florida. The one on top is explicitly called a social class, but I don't see social classes at the bottom. I see economic sectors. That's why this thing is such a hot mess. Florida refers to the people on the bottom as modern-day servants, and he calls upon the people on the top to recall their noblesse oblige and to give the people on the bottom a vision for improving their lives. These two words, creative class, creative in particular, they are a groovy, bohemian fig leaf over a theory that ratifies neoliberal economics, outsourcing, downsizing, income equality, all of it. They didn't create it, but they ratify it. So if you find yourself wanting to talk about the guy in the record store, and the architect, and the rocker, and the barista, and how they all contribute to making the city a more attractive place, don't use the words creative class. It's not what it means. I'm now going to suggest words you should use. The first is culture. This is what makes a place great in good times and in bad. It's why people visit Rome or Paris, New York, or Austin, Texas. It's not to tour the Department of Motor Vehicles, it's to see a museum. Not to eat a chain restaurant on Route 1, but to enjoy a local specialty at a bistro or at a food truck. This word, sector, groups people according to what they're good for, what they provide to everybody else. Also, it groups people of disparate tastes and differing economic and political strata and different social affiliations who are providing a similar economic and social benefit. So it is a far, far better thing to show up at City Hall to propose and defend an incentive for a culture sector, which generates, promotes, maintains, and sells original cultural products, than to propose and defend incentives for a creative class of the educated, imaginative, and self-involved. So, rehearse this in your mind. The culture sector, a valuable part of the economy. A strong culture sector creates an attractive place for the educated, managerial, entrepreneurial, job-creating types to set up shop. Oh, and not for nothing, it's an attractive place for everybody else to live, too. So I'm going to say it again. Culture sector. I'll use it in a sentence. I work in the culture sector. And now this. Providence, Rhode Island has lost its manufacturing base, but is now buoyed by its thriving culture sector. Now, doesn't that feel natural? Don't we feel important and valuable? Now stop saying creative class. Thank you very much.